da sua pequena. Comadre, a minha comadre, ai eu gosto da sua pequena. É bonita, apresenta-se bem, parece que tem uma face morena. É bonita, apresenta-se bem, parece que tem uma face morena. Lá em cima está o tiro-liro-lir, cá em baixo está o tiro-liro-ló. Lá em cima está o tiro-liro.
Okay, I'm going to show you everything you're going to need. First of all, you'll need a muffin tin or a tart pan, cupcake pan, and you will want some spray. I just use whatever butter flavored stuff you can get from the store. This recipe will make from 8 to 10. I may have added a little bit more in the ingredients as I was doing a little bit of research. I had to convert grams to cups and weight to milliliters, that kind of thing. So I'm going to see if I get 12 out of it. Let me tell you what you'll need. This is 1 1/3 cup of milk, 1 1/4 cup of water. You will need pure vanilla extract. That's what I have in that little thing, but that's the brand that I use. The zest of 1 lemon. Don't use the white part. Make sure you're only using the peel part, otherwise it'll be a little bitter. That is 1 cup of sugar. That is 1/3 of a cup of flour. That is cinnamon sticks and a little bit of cinnamon and 6 egg yolks. And here's my cheat. I'm not making the dough. I am using phyllo dough or puff pastry. It's the first time I've ever done it this way. We'll see how it works out. But as you can see, very simple ingredients. And like I said, haven't made this recipe in a while. We'll see how it all comes together in the end. Okay, so let's get started. What I have here is 2 sheets, and you get 2 sheets in 1 box of your average phyllo dough, but 2 sheets that I have taken out of the freezer, defrosted, put them on a lightly floured, I guess it's just like a cutting board, and I have very gently used this little roller to just get out those 2 sheets and make sure that you're not going to really stretch them, but just to make sure that they're out there and that you can flatten them out a little bit, make sure that the seams are kind of mushed together. The next thing, and I don't know if this is traditional or not, but I'm going to put a little bit of cinnamon right on here, just to kind of give it a little extra, you know what. And maybe I'll just take a little of the sugar that I have measured out, and I'm going to put a little bit of that, and then I'm going to rub the cinnamon into the dough. I'm going to rub it in, maybe a little bit more so it covers more surface, like that, and a little there, and just kind of rub it in a little. You don't have to go crazy. You're just going to get the dough a little bit flavored with the cinnamon, like that. And then again, just a little sugar on top of that cinnamon. I didn't measure it out. I just took a pinch from the 1 full cup that I have already measured out. And that's what you have, some cinnamon, some sugar smeared on both sheets of phyllo dough. Now the next thing you do is you're going to take that phyllo dough and very, very carefully start twisting, making it a thin roll. So roll it up like that. Just pinch the edges if you get to that seam. I think people who cook with phyllo know what that seam looks like. And you can see it's coated a little bit, but just keep rolling, keep rolling. You're going to do that first to the first one, and then obviously I'm going to do the same thing to the second. And I've now rolled both of the phyllo pastry sheets, and I have made them into 1 long rolled tube. You can see the ends there. Many layers all rolled up. And of course a little cinnamon and sugar intertwined. It's okay if they don't look completely neat or if they look a little misshapen. Don't worry about that, and I'll show you what we do next. And I've now rolled both of the phyllo pastry sheets, and I have made them into 1 long rolled tube. You can see the ends there. Many layers all rolled up. And of course a little cinnamon and sugar intertwined. It's okay if they don't look completely neat or if they look a little misshapen. Don't worry about that, and I'll show you what we do next. So now that I have both phyllo doughs rolled up with the cinnamon and the sugar, next thing you do is you grab a knife and you cut this into 6 equal pieces, each one. I'll show you what that looks like. I'm probably going to cut it in half right there, and then cut this so I have 3 pieces. And again, a third and a third. Do the same thing here. I'm just going to follow what I did in the same cutting footprint for the first roll. And I said I wanted to try to make 12, so that's what I think I have here. You can see the little layers of rolls. I could have used a little more cinnamon, maybe next time, but you can see that's what you end up with. And that's going to make your crusty tart bottom. Here we go. So next, there are my 12 little equal portions of the phyllo dough with the cinnamon and sugar swirled in between in different rolled layers. Next, you go to your muffin tins, give them each a spray so nothing sticks. I think that's good. I always overspray, I know. So there's the 6 muffin tarts, and there's the pieces. So you can see I've taken each of those sections of phyllo dough and placed them each in one of these tins, and what I've done is I've taken one piece and just kind of put it in the middle and kind of gave it a good pat down. This one actually looks a little too big. We'll give it a try anyway. Let's not be afraid of improvising in the kitchen, and there we go. So what I've done is I've started squishing down on each piece in each cup and trying to really knead it with my hand so that it goes up the outside rim. I'll show you one. I've done a few already, but I've basically just squished down like that, and then started, oh, I just noticed, very hard to do this while while I'm trying to videotape it. And you just squish down. Don't be afraid to squish down and make it look like a cup. And I'll do that last one, and then I'll show you what it looks like. It should line the as much as possible of each muffin tin. And there it is. Each muffin tin is lined. Some better than others, but it isn't about perfection. It's about how it tastes in the end. And the larger pieces or the larger sections gave me more to work with. They'll probably have a nice high crust at the bottom of the tart, but I think it'll work out okay the way it is. I'm going to put these in the fridge while I start mixing the wet ingredients and start working on the custard. Okay, so now I've made it to the stove, and I do have a saucepan here. And into this saucepan, I am going to add the water, the zest from the lemon, one cinnamon stick, and I've never opened this, so you'll watch me have to struggle. Wait. One cinnamon stick, a teaspoon of vanilla, and turn it on. We'll give that a little bit of a stir. Get a little bit more of this lemon zest out of the cup. And then I will add the cup of sugar. And this is going to make like a syrup, and it will probably take, usually with stuff like this, a couple of minutes. And we'll let it get a little bit mixed up, the lemon, the cinnamon, the vanilla, and yes, the cinnamon stick is swirling around in there. And this is what it looks like in the pan. Water, sugar, cinnamon stick, and the lemon zest. Some people actually peel the lemon and just put the entire peel of the lemon, and then they take out the peel and the cinnamon stick together. But I think I kind of like the idea of having the zest throughout, and if it doesn't taste good, I just won't do it that way next time. So while that is still on the stove and starting to, get a little hot and bubbly, I'm going to show you what we do next. Put the flour in a mixing bowl and about half the milk. And you want to whisk that vigorously so there'll be no lumps. Kind of like making a slurry, kind of bechamel-y slurry, right? Get all that stuff around the edges. Work it all in. And once you have it pretty good, not a lot of lumps, get it really, really good shaken up, you want to add the rest of the milk. And here's where I would add a pinch of salt. And I'm using the coarse sea salt, just a pinch, nothing I've measured. And now I'm going to just whisk this to death. There we go. And if you have a few lumps, it's not the end of the world. I'm sure it'll still taste fine. But this is getting really, really smooth. It's like when you make bechamel. You have to start with the flour and some liquid, work out most of the lumps, then add the rest of your wet ingredients. This looks really good. One final whisking. And you can see the syrup in the other pot. You really want to bring that up to a boil. It starts to get into that thicky, syrupy consistency, probably just a minute or two away. And in this pot now, bring what you've just whisked to a boil. Alrighty. There it is. This is all set. The consistency is nice and syrupy, so I'm going to fish out the cinnamon stick, which seems to have drowned. And I'm just going to take that out. Hasn't quite come to a boil yet, but you can see it's getting a lot smoother, and I'm still stirring. It's not lumpy, it's getting nice and creamy, and right when it comes to a boil, I'm going to shut it off, and then I'm going to let it cool for about a half hour. It's getting pretty close, so I will see you once this is cool and show you how we take what is in this pot and mix it with our 6 yolks to create the custard that will fill the little tarts. Okay, so here are my eggs that I've whisked, and here is my cooled cream. It smells heavenly of vanilla and sugar and a little lemon. And I've already whipped this a little bit with a teaspoon or 2 of that. And next, you just pour this into this and whip it all together. Okay, so here are my eggs that I've whisked, and here is my cooled cream. It smells heavenly of vanilla and sugar and a little lemon. And I've already whipped this a little bit with a teaspoon or 2 of that. And next, you just pour this into this and whip it all together. There, it's taking on the characteristic golden color. Whisk it good. And this is fairly cool. So yeah, I'm going to whisk it pretty hard. And then I have already taken out the cooled cupcakes with the tart. And I've, if you've noticed, made it a little neater. It's easier to knead the phyllo dough once it's been cooled off a little bit. And we're going to fill these 3/4 of the way up with the mixture that's in this pot. There it is, all done. And now we'll spoon them into those and pop it in the oven. In the meantime, I have put my oven at 475 degrees, so it really needs to be a hot oven. Once it's in the oven, it will cook very quickly, between 15 minutes, 18 minutes. There it is. I didn't want to overfill because this puffs up a lot in the oven, and then as it cools, it comes back down. So I just filled the cups, and now I'm going to place them in the oven at 475 and keep a close watch. There they are in the oven. I'm about to shut the door, and that's what it looks like. Okay, I think it's done. Oh, wow. They look all puffed up, but you know that's the way they come out. And it'll puff down, and we have to let them cool. What do you think, Wayne?
They look very puffy. They look nice.
They're starting to deflate
a nice
as we speak.
char on them, and yeah.
They're looking good.